of him, the Son of Man, also will be ashamed when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels. The word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
You may be seated. Well, I tell you, some of the Bible people, Bible study people from last week is here. Some of them aren't because they probably got scared after they did that Bible study, right? Alexis. Who else was here? I don't know. Not too many left. But anyway, they really had a good time with James and the sharp tongue. The message today are a teacher. You know, the teaching profession has always received mixed reviews. Teachers are universally revered. And at the same time, young people are advised not to become teachers because the salaries are so low. I know my own daughter teaching right now, and she has just enough money to buy her insurance. That's pretty low. Some even downgrade the teachers with truisms. Like those who can do, those who can't teach. This same ambivalence is found in the religious world. Seminary professors and college professors of religion are often paid ridiculously low salaries and are sometimes ridiculed by their students as being unable to pastor a church. James seems to share this ambivalence about teachers, but for a different reason. He says that most people in the church should avoid teaching because religious teachers will be held to a higher standard by God. And James admits teachers who are careful about everything they say and warns those teachers who cannot control their tongues. This inability to control one's tongue, he replies, is the Achilles heel for teachers. Teachers who misspeak became a problem in the first century because of the democratic approach of local congregations. The use of ecstatic utterances in worship services in Corinth led Paul to give strict instructions about what kind of speech was appropriate in that context. James is quick to admit that all Christians commit sin of the tongue. It's an assertion that hardly ever receives any argument. Last night, I received an email, and it really hit me wrong. This woman was very critical of something, and I said, well, why hasn't she been in church? So I had a real good answer for her, and my wife put me in my place. So I did answer her, and she did give me a great response. So everything turned out, I think, okay. But the sharpness of one's tongue sometimes hurts other people without even realizing it. James could say with Isaiah the prophet, I am a man of unclean lips. Nevertheless, James gives these several warnings against allowing one's tongue to go unregulated. He likens an unbridled tongue to a ship without a rudder, or a fire that is completely out of control. There is one seeming contradiction in his abusive speech against an unbridled tongue. James says that no one can tame the tongue, but seems to suggest that there are some areas where one can control one's tongue. Blessing and cursing should not come from the same mouth, he says in verse 10. But if misspeaking is a sin into which we all fall, why does James single out teachers? He seems to believe that teachers are especially vulnerable to the sins of the tongue. After all, teachers use words more frequently than do most people. Now, sometimes I doubt that, but they do. Their vocation requires them to speak a lot. Also, teachers bear a greater burden in this area since students hang on their every word. Well, they used to. I'm not sure they do that anymore either. Teachers influence their students by their words, and as a result, God will hold them accountable for what they have taught. For ministers and for lay people who teach in the church, this can be discouraging. To add to this warning, James says that our words are spiritual indicators. The words that we use indicate what's in our hearts. If our words are not spiritual, then neither are we. If this does not mean that James is advocating for a spiritualist vocabulary. On the contrary, he wants our words to be judged by their sincerity. This concept is often ignored in conversations among Christians. In an attempt to be spiritual, Christians are tempted to use religious language as a means to impress others. This is the very thing James warns against. This kind of warning resounds throughout the book of James. He is worried that Christians will say all the right things but fail to emphasize deeds. For James, the proof of one's spirituality is not what you say, but what you do. So this warning about what you say is important. It is a reminder that words are deeds in the sense that they can help or hurt the person who speaks them and the person who hears them. One might be tempted to become mute in light of James' warning concerning the dangers of the sinful speech. However, that is not what he recommends. He encourages not silence, but the wise use of those words. James acknowledges that words can be harmful and that they can injure at a long, long distance. But he insists that the words can be used for good or for evil. The key is in learning how to control our tongues. This means learning to think before we speak. Guilty. Guilty. It also means choosing words that do not offend or label. Is it difficult? You better believe it. It is. Yes, it is. Is it important? It obviously is. Right? So let us be careful of what we say or how we say it, because you don't know who you're going to hurt. Let us pray. Lord, forgive us when our words betray us. We want to speak truthfully and with integrity. But we are tempted to make ourselves appear better than we are. We are quick to condemn in others what we know hides within our own hearts. May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be accepted in your sight. Amen.